Hello, everybody. My name is Chloe, and we are back with Once Upon a Read Along live show. This month for July, we are discussing Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And today, along with being with Kathleen, we are also here with Desiree from Libri Labra,
Hello.
and we're all going to discuss this book. So, as we normally do, we are going to start with initial thoughts, which is non-spoiler, which is basically just our rating and very general thoughts. And then we're going to go into a full-on discussion that involves spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then I suggest not watching after the initial thoughts. So who would like to start?
I can start.
Okay.
I felt like it was somewhat similar to Evelyn Hugo in the sense where there was this interviewer, and you can tell there was some similarities in how she put things together, and especially in regards to how in depth she goes into these celebrities' lives. Like, just like Evelyn Hugo, I felt like these were real people, and I really wanted to look them up and Google them and hear their music and see their photo shoots. And I had to keep reminding myself that they're not real people. But even though there were similarities between this and like Evelyn Hugo, I still feel like there are very distinct characters, and they each have their own personalities, and I enjoyed it just as much.
Kat, do you want to go?
What did you rate it?
Oh, I rated it 5 stars.
I feel the same way. The whole thing with the interviewing being similar to Evelyn Hugo. The only thing is this felt more like an interview process in which different characters are talking. Evelyn Hugo, it feels more like a story. Like one person is telling her whole story, and it feels more like a book, whereas this feels like I'm reading like an interview kind of thing. And you're right, I do feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid does a really good job with making each individual characters very distinct, their voice, and especially in a book where there are so many characters, she does a very good job of making each individual voice very distinct. I did enjoy this book. I have to say I don't love it as much as I loved Evelyn Hugo. Evelyn Hugo just changed my reading experience. I loved it so much. While I did enjoy this book, I give it 4 stars. It definitely did not move me as much as Evelyn Hugo did. Like Evelyn Hugo was like a life-changing experience, that whole reading experience. I just felt so moved by the story. And I definitely did not feel this way with reading this book. I had a nice ending. From reading 2 stories, I'm kind of like making patterns with Taylor Jenkins Reid writing style. She has this very distinct writing style, especially how she ends her books. There's always like this sort of like plot twist at the end.
Yeah, like a twist, yeah.
And so I felt more moved by Evelyn Hugo's ending, like the way she ended, like the plot twist at the end, than I did with this book. It was nice. It wrapped up things nicely. I definitely felt like teary-eyed, but it definitely didn't like impact me as much as Evelyn Hugo did. It was still a great book. It's 4 stars. It's very easy to read, and yeah, like I said, I gave it 4 stars.
Now, quick question for you, Kat.
Oh,
go ahead. I had a quick question.
Oh, okay.
Kat, didn't you read Evelyn Hugo in like one day?
Yes.
Do you think that made a difference at all in the way you were impacted? Like reading it all in kind of like one thing? Okay.
No.
I would say you were there when she read the whole thing too in one day. So I have not read Evelyn Hugo yet. So I didn't really have any experience with Taylor Jenkins Reid going into this novel. I had heard some things that it's not as good as Evelyn Hugo. I had heard that, and I was worried that I wasn't going to like this book, and then I wasn't going to read one because I wasn't going to want to read Evelyn Hugo. But I ended up listening to the audiobook for most of this, which I thought really, really helped with my experience because the audiobook has 8 main people, but also is listed as having a full cast of people that aren't even like originally mentioned, because there's just so many characters in this book, and I ended up really enjoying it. And I went in not knowing what to expect from it. I did give it 4 stars. I felt like the beginning was a little slow for me. But it does make me excited to pick up Evelyn Hugo. And Kat, I'm glad you did say that that Evelyn Hugo is more like a story than this is, because I think I will enjoy it a lot more then.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it, and I gave it 4 stars. And I hope I really like Evelyn Hugo now. So now we're going to go into spoilers, and you guys aren't allowed to spoil Evelyn Hugo for me. So yeah, what do we want to discuss, guys?
Yeah, I think the thing that you said that I said about it be the only similarity between Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones is like it's an interview. Like she's interviewing a whole band in this book. In the Evelyn Hugo, she's interviewing one person, and that's why I felt like it tells more like a story, instead of this book where it's so many characters. I felt like the author thought it was better to do like an interview thing where like different voices telling the story,
Yes.
filling in the gaps. But yeah, Evelyn Hugo was definitely more of like a story. It reads more like a book.
And like this doesn't really have to do with anything with the story itself, but when I was listening to the audiobook, and Kat, I know I did talk to you about this, there's a chapter that's 3 hours long in the audiobook.
Yeah.
And like Cassandra Clare would never. Like
It's like the thing is, like when you said that it was like 3 hours long, I was gonna be like, oh my gosh. But the book, like the way the chapter is set up is that there are pauses. So I like it didn't feel like wow, the whole chapter was 100 pages. It felt like one part was 100 page or 100 plus whatever 100 plus pages, and then it had like little broken parts inside. So it's easier to read.
What area
and like
was
the thing
that?
is that chapter,
It was like
it was
like
Aurora World Tour.
yeah.
That chapter, when you look at it, is like 100 pages, I
Yeah.
think. Wait, no, that's not the right. I don't think that's the right chapter. Hold on. No, that's not the right one. I think it's the one before it.
I don't know. It's one of those, and it's like 100 plus pages.
Yeah, no, it's the one Aurora. When they were making the Aurora album, it's like 110 pages. It's like the whole middle of the book.
I want a hard copy now because I didn't read the hard copy, and so there was a lot of areas that I just wish I could see and not just listen. But thankfully, I was still able to process the majority of the audiobook.
Okay, one thing. Speaking of how the book is written, like the physical book, Desiree, it has the lyrics to all the songs from their Aurora album. And in the audiobook, it said, and I was so confused by this, it said that they were going to play the honeycomb, and it was just instrumental. And I'm like, where's the lyrics? Like,
exactly.
To me.
And the thing is,
I listened to that. It was like 3-4 minutes long. I was like listening. I was like, when's the singing coming on? And it's just instrumental. And I was so
yeah.
Are you talking about the ending?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was waiting for lyrics too. I was like, what? Why?
Yeah. And I was so angry. I was like, why isn't you told me there was going to be the song with the lyrics, and it did not play me the song. So I was kind of disappointed by that because I was like, I really wanted to listen to the song. But in the physical book, it has all the lyrics for their entire Aurora album in the physical book.
Oh wow.
And I looked at when I was at Target the other day, I looked at the book, and it happened to be a Target edition, which I didn't know they had a Target special edition. The only thing that's extra in that book is there's more lyrics, and I didn't even care about the lyrics because I didn't read them.
Well, the thing is, I read them. But, they didn't include the honeycomb lyrics, which
that's in the Target edition. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Like, I want the honeycomb lyrics. Why is this not in the regular book?
Yeah, I think there's only like 2 or 3 extra songs, and one of them is Honeycomb in the Target edition. I know I'm gonna wait for this to come out in paperback though, because I want Evelyn Hugo also in paperback. and then they can match. Also, this doesn't have anything to do with it, but this, because I have a hardcover of Evelyn Hugo from the library too. This is taller than Evelyn Hugo by like a centimeter.
Of the hardback?
Yeah,
Oh,
which
that's
gives me
off.
even more reason to want paperbacks. But like it's by like a centimeter. I was like, are you kidding me? Now I really want the paperbacks.
I love how the cover looks like
Okay.
an album
No.
cover.
There's the UK edition. I hate the cover of the UK one. And it's the same. It's like the same face,
But it's like rainbow.
just not. There's not this, and there's not. It's not rainbow. It's like a dark color. It's like a dark filter, and then the words are all over her face. And I'm like, I just don't like it.
I'm looking it up.
It's not cute.
So at one point I was listening to the audiobook, and they have such distinct voices, especially when you consider how many characters are in there. Sometimes I would get confused with like Warren and Pete and Graham. I wasn't sure who those people were when they were talking, but I started looking up some of the actors, and it turns out that the woman who was Daisy Jones is Jennifer Beals, who is also the lead character in Flashdance from the 80s movie.
To watch Flashdance.
So yeah, so I actually
So that's why you were asking what Flashdance is.
Because
Yeah.
he asked me, and I was like, "Are you serious? I'm assuming you even think that I have." And I was like, "Ask Chloe. I bet she doesn't know." And guess what? You didn't know.
Well, listen.
And I started laughing so loud.
And I saw that message when I woke up for work. So it's like 5 a.m. and I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't care. I don't have time for this. I was like my grumpy like 5 a.m. mood. I was like, ugh.
So yeah, so I went and I rewatched Flashdance with my son yesterday, and what I told Kat that was really funny was the character is also like just a tiny bit unlikable in some areas and very assertive, and it seemed like I could find Daisy Jones in this Flashdance character, and I was like, oh, I wonder if the actress is just drawn to characters like that. But I thought it was really interesting. It just made me excited.
Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about is Daisy Jones. Did you guys like her?
I went back and forth.
I like
no spoilers, but she's like, when I talked to Desiree, I said that we talked about how she's very similar to Evelyn Hugo in that she's very unapologetic over who she is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I liked Evelyn Hugo because of that, and I disliked Daisy because of that. Like, I don't know what it is with
Which is interesting.
She was more charming in this way, and Daisy Jones just pissed me off.
I
don't know. Like, there was just certain moments I was like, this girl is such a bitch, and I couldn't deal with her.
I feel like with Daisy, there were parts where I liked the way she thought, where in the sense of like, well, I want to sing my own songs, or I want to write my own music in that sense. Or even in the sense of like, I'm going to wear what I want to wear. Like, I get that. And then there was also the part of her where she's like drugged and addicted and she's making stupid decisions, like marrying what's his nuts. And
Nicola.
And I was like, I don't like this. Is a stupid decision. And then when she finally wanted to get clean, and then she fell back again, I was like, oh God, it's just going to happen all over again. But I liked some of her ideas in the sense.
I think there were parts of her that were really immature, and that immaturity came through. Well, whereas like I felt like Evelyn Hugo is more mature in the way she does things. And I think those were the parts of Daisy that I disliked, that the very, very impulsive, immature parts of her.
Yeah, it's like with what Chloe said, there were certain things that I really liked about her. I liked that she was not afraid to stand up for herself when it comes to like her music and the way she dresses. Although sometimes she pissed me off with the way she dressed. She says she runs hot, but then she would get cold in her little skimpy outfits.
In the recording,
just in case. And like, but that's okay. But one thing that I even I even tabbed it, and I really, really like what she said. And she says, and this is on page 156, and it's about her clothing. And she says, I run hot and I always have. And I'm not going to sit around sweating my ass off so men can feel more comfortable. It's not my responsibility to not turn them on. It's their responsibility not to be an asshole. And I love those two sentences. It is not my responsibility. It is their responsibility not to be an asshole. And that just like spoke to me in such a deep level. And I was like, yes, like it is not my responsibility to make you feel comfortable.
Wait, did Kat just
I
freeze
am
up?
very.
Oh, I think she
I
froze.
have two of. Who froze? Cat? Me?
No, she
What?
might be good. Okay. All right, she's good.
Cat, say something real quick. I didn't hear something from you.
Hello?
Okay.
Okay, I can hear you now. I am interested to go back to her older novels because I do have two of them that I believe they're not rom-com, but they're like more like serious like romance novels. And I'm very interested to see how she is with those compared to how she is with like Daisy Jones or even with like when I read Evelyn Hugo to see how she is with that as well. I'm
intrigued. Because in a lot of ways her characters are very similar. Like I said, that they're both like very unapologetic over their actions and they don't really care what anybody else thinks. So I'm also interested in reading her other books and seeing if that's just like the kind of characters that she really likes to write about.
Yeah.
I had just read her short story, Evidence of the Affair, and it's told in letters. And it's really not that long. And so I found it to be like really, really impressive how she was able to communicate and get like 4 distinct personalities across just letter amount of time. And it was really, 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 really good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I feel like I had so many things that I wanted to talk about this, and now I can't think of any of them.
I do. Well, eventually, I don't know if you guys want to move on, but I do want to talk about Karen and Graham, and in the terms of Karen having an abortion, and how Graham reacted.
Yeah, I noticed that this book, takes on a lot of things that are really relevant today, such as the Karen and Graham situation, as well as like the dressing. Like it does take on a lot of hot topics now.
Yeah, and this I think Karen had her abortion. It was like 1979, and Roe versus Wade was passed in 1973. So it's a pretty recent thing, and I can't to be honest, Graham was a lot more calm than I expected him to be. I thought he was gonna flip his lid because this is again the 1970s. Abortion just passed and it's a thing now, but it's still pretty new. And I mean, even in today, like 40 plus years later, we're still having issues with this. And I thought that he didn't react the best way, but he didn't flip his lid like I thought he was going to.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not gonna lie, I read some reviews on this book, and there was one review. I don't even want to find it. There was one review where they were angry with Karen that she ultimately went against his wishes, and I'm like, I was so mad, and I was like, that is not his decision, it's her decision. And she was so adamant from the beginning she does not have a child. It's not like she even considered for 1 second that she was always 100% sure she did not want to have a kid. I mean, even Camilla with 3 children, someone who's a mother and loves her children and wants that experience for everyone, she still understood. And there was like that line where she says that different things make different people happy, and she wants that for Karen. She wants whatever it is that makes her happy for her, even if it's not a child. And I liked that Karen kind of stuck by her guns like she did not relent, she did not give up, and in the end, it said that she didn't regret it,
Yeah.
which is something that I know a lot of women probably do. If they go through it, they do regret what happened. But I do like that Karen kind of stuck to her guns and she kind of went with what she wanted because it is her life being ultimately impacted because there was one scene that I remember that they were arguing about this, and she was like, "Are you gonna be home to take care of the child? Are you willing to drop from the band?" And he didn't answer it because ultimately he expected her to do it.
Right.
And he even said it like I don't think he meant anything by it. He's like, "Are you worried that we won't be able to find another
The
keyboardist?"
keyboardist, right? Yeah.
Like, and that just pissed her off even more because that's obviously not what she wants. And
Yeah.
that he's expecting her to give up her career for this. And I actually like them as a couple. I think that they matched really well, but I think ultimately the thought about the future really just kind of drove them apart because they clearly want different things.
Hmm.
But I don't think she ever really cared about him in the same way. And
Yeah,
like even though ultimately it's her decision and it was something that she, like she didn't want kids and I understood that. It's hard not to relate to Graham when he kind of loved her before they even got together. So,
yeah, I get it, and trust. I feel so bad for Graham because he clearly loved her, but she never like she says it multiple times. She never thought of a future with him. She was just kind of
mhm.
doing this thing with
Yeah.
him, but she
Yeah.
never really wanted more from him. She wasn't looking for a happily ever after with a picket fence house and kids running around. She just wanted to sing with him, but I guess she wanted something casual. She didn't want to get serious, and he wanted to get serious. uh,
Yeah.
I did think they were a cute couple, but like again, they were looking at the future differently, and obviously that's something that's really really important. And I do feel bad
Right.
for him because I think he's a really good guy, and I do feel bad for him. And yeah, if I was in his situation, I would be really upset too.
Yeah, but I feel like the whole time, and I know we kind of just talked about this, like, I think Karen just wanted, like, she didn't want to, like, be committed to to someone, even in a relationship sense, not just like a kid sense. She didn't want that commitment because I remember there was one point in the book, and I don't know what page it was on or where it was, but somebody was like, "Are you two together?" And she said no, and he said yes, and it just became a thing.
All right.
I think it was that annoying guy that we all hate. What's his name?
Eddie.
The one, yes,
Wasn't it?
the one that complained about. Yes, yeah. Um, but yeah, in a way, I feel for both of them, and honestly, at the end, I was kind of wishing, like, because they're talking about the future, I kind of wish there was like a happy moment, like a happy conclusion for them, in which they like years later found each other, and she's no longer doing the band thing, and they get back together and marry and stuff. But obviously, that didn't happen.
I do want to talk about the ending for a minute. Um, like, first of all, like, finding out that the interviewer this whole time was Julia, I believe, who was uh Billy and Camila's daughter.
Right.
And then also finding out that at the end of the interview, like by the time all of it's done, Camila passed away. And there were it was like a lot of things happening all at once. So it was like, oh my God, this happened. Oh my God, this happened. Like,
It's
and
a
all that.
I mean, just be prepared. The same thing happens with Evelyn and Hugo. You get a lot of twists towards the end.
Oh, I remember you finishing it.
Yeah. Um, okay. Let me address first the whole with Camilla not being alive. I didn't know it was Camilla, but I kind of knew one of the characters was dead by the time as we're reading this interview, because at the very beginning the book said that not all characters were alive at the publishing of this book or something like that. There was something that said at the very beginning, and I was like, oh, okay,
Oh,
so
I don't remember that.
yeah. Let me find it. Let me see.
Okay, I'm gonna go look at it real quick.
Okay. Okay, here. While I have aimed for a comprehensive approach, I must acknowledge that this proved impossible. Some potential interviewees were difficult to track down, some were more forthcoming than others, and some unfortunately have passed on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I knew, like,
thing is,
from just her saying that, I was like, oh, somebody. And I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid likes to murder our hearts. So I knew somebody was dead. I honestly thought it was going to be Billy. I did not expect to be Camilla. I truly thought that it was going to be Billy. That
I kind of thought it was going to be Daisy.
really,
Like, just because of all the drugs she was doing.
I thought about that too, but I thought that it would be too obvious by how of a risky lifestyle she lives. So I thought that Taylor Jenkins Reid was going to be killing the person that worked so hard to bring his life around. You know what I mean? Especially towards the end, as he was like in that bar talking to this guy, and he drank the tequila, but he didn't drink all of it, and like that was his one minor relapse.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
I truly thought it was going to be Billy.
I'm glad though that she included the email at the end about like having him call Daisy. And the thing is, like, I would like go back to the back of the book to see how many pages there were, and it took like all my power to not read this email until the very very end. But the only thing I knew like throughout the book was that this came from Camila and was to the daughters. That's all I knew the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out like when she actually passed away again. Like I know they talked about it.
I think she was like 65 or something.
Yeah, she was young for. So she died on December.
63.
Yeah, died on December 1st, and then the email was November 5th, so a month earlier.
It says on the last page it says she died at 63. But yeah, so I was not surprised with some of that, but I was definitely surprised that it was Camilla. I don't know. Like that whole ending just really, really upset me.
Well, how do you feel about what Camila said? How do you feel about her being like, you know, have him call Daisy?
I mean,
she knew that Daisy loved him.
Here's the thing. Here's another thing that I tabbed that I really like. Billy loves Daisy. We all acknowledge that. They were really they were very similar, and I think another review that I read, someone called them soulmates, and I was like, that's pushing it a little. But here's the passage that I read, that even though he loved Daisy and he could see himself having a life with her, this is what solidified that Camilla was always going to be the one for him. That was always going to be his like number one in his heart. And it's on page 289, and it's at the very top, and it says, maybe Camilla wasn't the person I was the most in love with at that time. I don't know. You can't. Maybe she wasn't, but she was always the person I loved the most. She was always the person I would choose. It is Camilla for me always. And then he goes on to say that passion, it's fire, and fire is great. I think that for what he felt with Daisy, it was always very passionate. They were so like whenever they were writing, it's always this a lot of emotion and a lot of passion. But after the passion dies, you kind of have to have something to keep going. You kind of have to have something to keep your relationship going. And I feel like that's something that he had with Camilla. He always had passion with Camilla, but I feel like once all that died down a little, it all ultimately came down to his commitment for Camilla and his love for Camilla. And I feel like they were the ones that were soulmates in this whole book. They were he was so committed to Camilla. He loved her so much, and honestly, his love for her was one of my favorite parts about this book. That he, even though he had Daisy, he has someone who he connects with on such a deep level and can write really great songs with. It ultimately comes down that he would always choose Camilla, and his love and his commitment for her really, really touched me. And it was just such a great part of this book.
Even though he was cheating on her at one point.
Yeah. But I mean, it was at the very beginning, and like, yeah, I remember like snapping you about this, and I was like, "What is wrong with this guy?" I hated him, like I truly did. But he, from that relapse, he really tried hard to turn his life around. He
Mhm.
didn't go back to drinking and doing drugs, and he was always faithful to her. I mean, obviously, he did like fall in love with another woman, but I do feel like he really remained faithful in terms of how much he loved Camilla to the very end. And I mean, I don't know what would have happened if Camilla didn't ask Daisy to leave, but like his love for Camilla was really, really was I thought it was really, really beautiful.
I know a really long
I mean,
time
and
ago, when I had just gotten together with Jeff, his sister at some point said to him, and I didn't really understand or process it at the time. I was kind of like, that's not true. I don't believe in that. But she said, love is a choice.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that mean? I can't just fall in love with anybody. That doesn't make sense to me. And I remember being like very reactive about it and not really feeling that way. But over the years, and being in different relationships and seeing like it, I get it now. I get how it's a choice. And for him, for Billy, Camilla was his choice. So regardless of what was happening, he chose to love her over and over and over again, and he chose to make that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like
I mean,
I don't know, I feel like they were really, really beautiful together. So
and
I
I'm
don't.
glad Daisy, like, she took the bigger step and left the band because Camila wanted her to. I'm glad she decided to be the bigger person and go ahead and leave. And I mean, ultimately, I feel like it was good for her because then we find out however many years later that she got clean and she's been clean, and I think it really helped her out.
yeah.
I mean, but so do you feel like Camila was really strong for dealing with all of Billy's ups and downs? Or do you
Yeah.
think she
Yes.
was like a doormat because she allowed him to do a lot of the things?
No.
Um,
I think if Billy the only way I would see Camilla as a doormat is if Billy continued doing drugs and continued
Mhm.
cheating on her and continued being this horrible person that he was when they first got married, and he found out when she was pregnant, and he went on this like drug binge and this drinking binge and this cheating binge
Mhm.
before he found out. Now, if he had continued onto that path, then yes, I would believe she was a doormat and she was being uh, basically hurting herself and her children by continuing to be with this man. But Billy always continued working on himself. He never stopped trying to be a better person, and he always tried to be the person that she deserves. So I don't think that she was a doormat by any means. I think that she was very strong for putting up with it, for knowing the kind of career that he had, that he was going to have a lot of temptation, because not only is he with people who are also drinking and doing drugs, but he's just surrounded by this, and he's surrounded by groupies, and he's has all this pressure, uh and I yeah, that's just like how I see it. He continued on to the path of getting better, so I don't feel like I think Camila was very strong for continuing to believe in him, and I truly believe that her continued faith in him paid off.
Mhm. I agree with all of that.
um yeah. Yeah, the moving on. I hated Eddie. I wanted
Yes.
to kill the hell out of him. He was such a complainer. Like, dude, if you're this unhappy, leave. He was
Yeah.
so annoying. Like, I really I wanted to reach in through the book and just kick him because he was so annoying. He complained about everything. Like, God.
he just, it seemed like he kind of just had like victim mentality. Um, like it just seemed like everyone was doing something against him or uh whatever. I don't know how he ended up becoming, like, I guess became a producer afterwards. Is
Yeah,
that what?
what it was, yeah.
And he was like, the producer I was always meant to be.
He's annoying. He's so annoying. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I don't
know. There was like a couple people who I wasn't really sure who the hell they were. Like
who?
Pete.
Okay, Pete was the bassist.
Okay, and then Warren.
Warren, I believe.
Drummer, I think.
I think he was the drummer.
I thought Graham was the drummer.
He was either the drummer or one of the rhythm guitars. He was one of them. I don't remember.
Okay. And then Teddy.
Teddy was the producer
of the album. Okay.
Yeah, and then Ron, whatever, was the manager.
Okay, but that was Daisy's manager, right? In the beginning?
No, he was the manager for Six, and then he became the manager for Daisy when her own manager left, remember?
But was that the guy she was dating?
That was the guy she was dating. He was also her manager.
Okay.
And then he left, and then because that was the time when she was in the talks of joining Six, he decided to become her manager as well.
Okay. Yeah. Because I know like Pete was trying to marry somebody, but every time it came up, it just felt like just this small little piece of information that I wasn't retaining. I was like, oh yeah, that guy. Like,
yeah, he had a girlfriend back home, and he that's why he left the band, because he wanted to get married to her and start a life with her.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all I had to say. It was just pretty much Karen and Daisy.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
That's a lot of people to be in a band together.
People, I was
like that's just a lot of personalities.
The thing is, like, so I know, like, bands from that back then, they just used to break up, and there was only like 3-4 people in the band, but 7.
Yeah,
like,
that's a lot.
Like, no wonder they had so many issues.
Right.
The thing is with the email at the end, I didn't understand. Like, when she said for her to call Daisy Jones, like to get back together, like to just talk about what happened between the two of them, or
no, I thought it was like so they could finally have a relationship.
Is it?
Yeah,
probably, because I feel like maybe it was one of those situations where like they always love each other even after like all those years. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I guess that's not how I saw it. I was like telling to call Daisy Jones to kind of like talk about the things that happened and kind of like maybe start becoming friends again, at least.
Maybe. I mean,
I didn't see it as like, oh, hey, I'm dead. You can go back to your other person that you loved.
I don't think it was like that. I think it was something she said with love. Go ahead.
She said, at the very least, the two of them owe her a song.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I just like, I'm not like the biggest fan of so maybe that's why I'm like not with this 100%.
I think they loved each other so much, and I would imagine when you love somebody that much and you know you're leaving them because you're gonna be gone, that you still want them to have some kind of happiness. And
are you talking about Camilla?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so, knowing that he gave up an opportunity to be with Daisy Jones to stay with Camila, like she knew that they would hit it off. She knew that that was probably a good couple, as opposed to like.
I get it. I'm just like, okay. On my deathbed, okay, honey, you can go with this other woman. No, but I get it. I mean, it was like at the very least, the way I see it is that they get together and they start at least talking. Like I don't know. That's how I see it. But if they end up in a relationship, yeah, obviously, I don't know how old they are at this point.
I tell John he should remarry all the time if I die.
Why are you guys talking about this? It's such a Pressing topic.
No, because there's so much guilt associated with losing a partner. Like, that's the last thing I want anyone in my life to have is guilt over anything in our relationship. And so I just make sure to let him know, don't feel guilty, move on, be happy. I love you. I want that for you.
Everybody around me is talking about death. Like, my coworker's talking about writing her will and putting that together. Will's sister is talking about putting her will together. And then Will, every time when he gets really sweet, he's like, I would die without you. And I'm like, why is everybody talking about death around me? Everybody needs to stop.
No, but yeah, this book was good. Chloe, if you like this book, you're gonna love Evelyn Hugo. It's so good. It's not even on the same planet. Evelyn Hugo is still like reigning queen.
Here's what I think you and I need to do to keep each other accountable, because I know this is for our Read That Book challenge. Like, I think the same week, like the same.
Will just said death is sexy.
I didn't even know Will was watching.
He is now.
Well, I saw you 2 hours ago. Anyway, but Kat, I think you and I need to keep each other accountable. And next month, like, we take the same week, and you read the book I picked for you and vlog it. I read the book you picked for me and vlog it, and we're just done. Get it out of the way, and we're done with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have anything else unless anybody has something else they want to add.
No, just that, like, I definitely want to go out and buy the book, and I've recommended it to a couple of people. I really, really, really liked it.
I think Will would really like this book, because he, like, I don't know, he likes the older bands, and this is like the inside scoop on like a fictional band from the 70s.
Oh, and yes, but I'm also super excited that Amazon is making a TV series out of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They are?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
With Reese Witherspoon.
Oh.
As Daisy Jones?
No, she's not gonna. I don't think she's playing Daisy Jones. She's like, she's
a producer kind of.
Yeah. Like her production company.
I was gonna be like, as her, I was like, hell no.
Chloe, let me see the book you have again, because I think it has the Reese Witherspoon book club Hello Sunshine sticker on it.
I've been trying to figure out how that's on every single copy. I've been trying to figure that out.
It's the Reese Witherspoon book club.
Okay. Well, that makes a whole ton of more sense. Also, this is totally off topic, but since we're talking about like TV shows and whatnot, Marvel dropped so much news yesterday at Comic-Con, and all the TV series are going to be on Disney Plus, and I'm like, do I need to get a Disney Plus membership when it comes out now? Like, what do I do? I want to. I don't know how much it is. That's a conversation for later, though. There's too many shows coming out. Anyway, so are we ready to talk about next month?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. So we don't have a full live show date yet, but the book we're going to be reading for August, and hopefully you'll be able to see the cover, is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. This is a first in a spin-off series from her Remnant Chronicles, and I believe the second one is coming out soon. I don't know when. But this was the throwback we decided to pick on because we couldn't decide on anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at possibly August 25th to do the live show. That's the day before our semester starts, and it's the day after Read-A-Rama ends. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. But no guarantees yet.
I assume that's a fantasy.
Yes, it is. Though I like the Remnant Chronicles, but I don't know if this has the. I know it follows a different character, but I don't know if it's going to have appearances from the other characters. I think so, though, potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is everything for our live show for Daisy Jones and the Six. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Make sure you join us for Dance of Thieves in August, and we'll have if you need any updates, we'll have the live show date officially out on our Twitter at Once Read Along. So make sure you go follow us there for any updates, any schedule changes, live show changes, whatnot. And that's all we have. So we will see you guys next month in August for our Dance of Thieves live show. Bye.
Bye.